Financial Influencer says, save your money year after year, build up compounding interest, you can see your saving go to moon, and we can all are extremely wealthy. If it's so easy to become a millionaire, then why is such a small minority of people who are actually a millionaire? Why compounding doesn't really work for individual, and why it doesn't work for society also? Let's figure it out. So, the big thing about compound interest is that it explodes in an exponential fashion. It doesn't just go up in a straight line like this dotted line. It actually goes up in this curve exponential way, which kind of curves upwards, skyrocketing, some would like to say. And this is the reason why compound interest is so fascinating. It gives the sense that if we just save enough year after year, we'll grow more and more and more, and our wealth will shoot upwards like skyrocketing. There's only one problem with that idea. It doesn't work. It doesn't work actually. What I'm going to explain you is why it doesn't really work for individuals and why it doesn't really work for society. So the big reason is because it ignores what economists would call the life cycle nature of savings. Most people only work for a period of their lives. These days, people often finish their studies at around 21 and hope to retire near the age of 65, and they work for this 44 to 45 year period. This means that you can't do this saving and compounding for your whole life. You have two periods, one at the beginning and one at the end, where you're not working. And during those periods where you're not working, what is happening to your compounding? Well, essentially, it's working in backward direction. When you're young and you're a student, you're not earning any money and you're having to pay to go to university. And when you are old and you're retired, you're also not earning any money, and you increasingly have really pretty large running costs in terms of paying your bills, paying for your regular needs. But as you get older, increasingly a lot of people are having to spend a lot of money on caring as they get old. That basically means that the actual graph of wealth over time looks quite different. Let's draw that graph. Here's how rich you are. Here's your age. What does it really look like? Well, first of all, you don't start at zero. You're already behind the line. You've got to pay off your mortgage. You've got to pay off your student debts. Then you start saving. Well, things happen. You start your family. You have your first kid. That definitely cost you a bit. Then you have second kid arrive. Now, as you get older, your income might rise for a while, but then retirement hits. Suddenly, you're no longer earning your spending. Medical bills appear, care costs add up, and by the end of it all, most people find their savings have nearly vanished. And by the time you die, most people are back around zero. Another reason it doesn't work well for many people is that, for a significant portion of workers, there's almost nothing left after covering the usual living expenses. As rents, energy, and food prices keep rising while wages lag behind, more people are finding themselves with almost nothing left to save. And that's a double problem. If you can't save, compounding interest can't work for you. Secondly, once you grasp the concept of life cycle saving, it becomes clear that the compound interest you've built up over the years is meant to fund your retirement. The problem is, many people simply can't save enough to let compounding work for them. As a result, an increasing number of retirements are left completely unfunded, a serious concern. The theory tells us that economic growth can compound forever in an economy, in a society. We can make increasingly richer economies, and yet we increasingly live in economies which struggle to get even 1% economic growth. Why is that? And the reason for this is basically that we live in economies that have physical limits. The problem you have is that eventually you will get to the other side and you will have nowhere to expand into. That means that the growth of the country has dropped down now, and yet growth of the wealth of the rich is still around in skyrocketing kind of level. And this is the key difference, which I really want you to understand. If you allow the rich to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, once you hit your natural limits, the rich will continue to grow by basically cannibalizing the existing middle class. And that's not because they're evil. It's simply because their wealth is so large and grows so quickly. And there are so few actual real investment opportunities that basically they have no other option. You can only keep growing for so long before you hit a wall. And once that happens, It stops being a game where everyone wins and turns into a fight over what's already there. Compound interest will lead to the rich eating the middle class and poverty for your kids and grandkids. The only way to fix this is to change the tax system, to stop taxing ordinary people so much and tax the super rich more. If we do that, we can improve economic conditions. If we don't do that, there will be poverty, more and more poverty in this country. Fight back, change the tax system, reduce inequality. It's the only way to avoid poverty.